Will the Trump-Netanyahu meeting change the course of the West Asia tensions? Will Trump choose a path of escalation or negotiation? And what will the two paths look like? Where will they head? And what really is Netanyahu's expectation at this point? Just to put this simply, if there were to be two teams, for example, Netanyahu has been team war this entire time, no doubt about that. He wants the Iran war to continue simply because it suits his own political interests. The Israel October elections, after all, are around the corner. And if the war were to resume, Netanyahu perhaps would be the happiest man alive. So what's been brewing behind the scenes in the run-up to that meeting? Netanyahu reportedly is expected to brief Donald Trump on Iran's alleged efforts to revive its nuclear program at the Pickaxe Mountain complex. Before we break down what this facility is all about, this is according to a report by the New York Post. According to the report, Netanyahu is expected to tell Trump that Iran has been allegedly misleading about its willingness to resolve the conflict through diplomacy. In fact, minutes before taking off from an Israeli Air Force base for Washington, D.C., Netanyahu had declared Iran will top the agenda as far as the meeting is concerned. And according to a report by the Times of Israel, Netanyahu took off without publicizing his departure in advance and left from an Air Force base rather than the airport, the Ben Gurion airport, reportedly for security reasons. His video statement reportedly was released only after his departure was belatedly confirmed. So that's what's been happening in the run-up to that meeting. Also, remember earlier, US President Donald Trump threatened to attack the site linked to Iran's nuclear program, the Pickaxe Mountain. What is known about the site, and can Trump really destroy it? Let's tell you more about where this area really is located. It is a highly fortified facility buried deep underground near one of Tehran's main nuclear sites. That's what the location is. It's about 220 kilometers south of Tehran, and it's very close, as you can see, to the nuclear complex in Natanz, which, remember, was bombed during last year's 12-day war. As per reports, it contains two tunnel complexes buried deep underground, which makes it difficult as well to destroy. A core issue, remember, has been about how Tehran and Washington will actually deal with Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, reportedly. Earlier, Wall Street Journal reported that Israeli intelligence believes Iran moved thousands of uranium enrichment centrifuges into tunnels deep inside a mountain last fall. Also, all of this coming at a time when the meeting between Trump and Netanyahu is leading to a lot of speculation. It also comes after more than 5 months since their last meeting. And a lot has happened since the last time the two leaders met, including a phone call during which Trump reportedly blasted Netanyahu. For now, Trump seems to be choosing the path of diplomacy. At least that's what it looks like. Listen in to his statement from earlier.
I have plenty of time. Plenty of time. Their whole shoreline's wiped out. The strait is in very good shape. And we're talking right now. You know, they wanted to talk. The people said, please don't shoot last night, the night before, 2 nights. Don't do it. You know, we're having good talks. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a good chance that something could happen.
Meanwhile, considering the optics and what's been happening on that front, earlier a video titled, quote-unquote, Where to Kill Melania was reportedly published by Tasneem news agency, reportedly an Iranian outlet considered close to the IRGC. But all the rhetoric, messaging, optics aside, will the diplomatic process between Iran and America yield any concrete progress is the big question as well. Also, Trump meeting Netanyahu after meeting Zelensky. Two crucial meetings with two wartime leaders with seemingly different agendas. Zelensky wanting peace, Netanyahu wanting war. Already the battle lines of these two wars, the Russia-Ukraine war and the Iran-US war, seem to be merging. As of now, there seems to be a dangerous overlap as well between the conflicts in Europe and Asia, after Iran issued a major warning threatening retaliation after what it claimed was a Ukrainian attack on an Iranian commercial vessel. In fact, the Iranian foreign minister also condemned that strike on the vessel in the Caspian Sea, warning that the incident cannot go unanswered. Earlier, Trump reportedly also said, spoke about what the process has looked like so far. But then will the Trump-Netanyahu meeting lead to another escalation continues to be the big question, and which way will things go? A lot depends on the answer. Even as the first phase of the farcical election unfolded in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the brutality of the Pakistan Army Chief's forces continues unabated. After a fresh escalation, the number of POK civilians killed has reached 67 as of now. 67 lives. Those visuals depicting a tale in itself. Chaos unfolded at a busy marketplace in POK's Mirpur as Asim Munir's forces opened fire on civilians. At least 5 to 6 people were killed even as the locals tried to run for cover. The area resounded with sounds of gunshots. Smoke was seen billowing from a nearby shop. As much as the Pakistan army may try to downplay the killings, as much as Pakistan might try and do that, the ground reality is stark. Have a look at these visuals, for example, clearly showing ambulances carrying injured protesters to hospitals. According to the Joint Awami Action Committee, the JAAC, at least 14 of its activists were killed on Monday alone. During the first phase of the so-called assembly elections in POK, over 28 others were injured. The present phase of aggression by the Pakistani forces, also coming after the JAAC started that long march to Muzaffarabad. It's also worth noting here that the protests were originally ignited by that ban on this civil society group. On June 9, thousands of JAAC supporters started that sit-in. It put forth 38 demands, including the abolition of 12 seats in the so-called Legislative Assembly, which are dominated by Pakistanis. However, Islamabad has preferred the use of brute force than actually opting for negotiations. And while Pakistan often makes tall claims about the area, its hypocrisy unraveled with a social media post in which the Pakistan Prime Minister extended sympathies to the people of France over the wildfires. But Pakistan's ex-ambassador to the UN, Maliha Lodhi, raised an important question. Why no sorrow over those killed in POK in that crackdown on the protesters? What about those lives? Now, bear in mind here that in the last few weeks itself, POK has seen slogans seeking freedom from the protesters, clearly earmarking the Pakistani government and the military as illegal occupiers. Meanwhile, India dubbed the POK election as a cosmetic electoral exercise and linked the ongoing protests to Pakistan's denial of fundamental rights to people. Listen in.
The current cosmetic electoral exercise is nothing but an attempt by Pakistan to camouflage its illegal occupation and hide its grave human rights violations in the region.
A major new assessment is raising serious questions about Donald Trump's military campaign against maritime drug trafficking. Has he lost this war? Despite dozens of strikes, hundreds of deaths, the destruction of scores of suspected smuggling boats, U.S. officials reportedly say the flow of cocaine into America remains largely unchanged. According to an internal assessment by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, also known as DEA, and reviewed by the Washington Post, Trump's military campaign reportedly has failed to reduce either the supply or the street price of cocaine in the United States. Instead, investigators reportedly say trafficking networks have rapidly changed their methods to avoid U.S. operations. In fact, the DEA assessment says smugglers have moved away from go-fast boats, a type of small, fast power boats, and instead choosing larger vessels that reportedly stay close to the coastlines, where the U.S. forces are allegedly less likely to open fire. Not just that, the report also identifies new smuggling routes, including longer Pacific crossings, more direct Caribbean corridors, and greater use of aircraft departing from clandestine airstrips along the Colombia-Venezuela border before flying east. In fact, since September last year, U.S. forces have struck at least 67 boats, killing at least 221 people in these strikes. Pentagon officials reportedly told U.S. lawmakers in a closed-door briefing last month that the strikes in international waters off South and Central America had not reduced the purity of cocaine reaching the United States. DEA analysts reportedly say the U.S. campaign initially disrupted trafficking after it began last September, driving up the prices and triggering more drug-related violence. But then those effects proved to be temporary. The assessment reportedly concluding that traffickers adapted quickly and that the prices and availability have now returned to the previous levels. The findings directly challenged repeated public claims by the U.S. president. On at least 15 occasions, including last month itself, Trump reportedly claimed that the strikes had cut maritime drug trafficking into the United States by 97 to 98%. In an April post on Truth Social, he wrote, 98.2% of the drugs coming into the U.S. by ocean or sea have stopped. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.